What's up guys, and welcome back to Richie Gaming Lore. Today we're going to be talking about the best top 10 iconic items in World of Warcraft. The reason we'll be doing this is because we got a comment from Molten Skills. In your first video you said top 10's idea, top 10 iconic items in WoW. So let's get to it. Number 10. In number 10 we have Ash Candy, Great Sword of the Brotherhood. Ash Candy, Great Sword of the Brotherhood is an epic two-handed sword that Nefarian and Blackwing Lair drops at a 7% rate drop. This massive two-handed sword has a hilt resembling the intertwined necks and heads of two red dragons. This weapon has been replaced by many Burning Crusade weapons, but as of patch 1.1.1, this was the third highest DPS sword in the game, along with Claymore of Unholy Might, being beaten slightly by Kalimdor's Revenge, a drop from the Temple of Anchorage, and then there was the Corrupted Ashbringer. It is believed this sword once belonged to Anduin Lothar, due to the initials on the hilt, AL, and the title Great Sword of the Brotherhood, referring to the Brotherhood of the Horse. Lothar was the Regent and Lord of Azeroth, and champion of King Lane, but was killed by Orgrim Doomhammer during the closing battles in the Second War. Now let's move on to number 9. Number 9. Before being the Lich King's weapon, Prince Arthas Menethil was a servant ruled by a sword he believed was the key to saving his people, the Runeblade Frostburn. Finding and claiming the blade among the frozen wastes of Northrend was an odyssey unto itself, and the search cost the prince, his mentor, his relationship with his subjects, and his humanity. It cost the living of Azeroth far more. With a tight grip on the blade that traded his life for, Arthas ravaged the kingdom of Lordran and broke free from the control of the Burning Legion. By the time the former prince ascended as the leader of the Scourge, Frostmourne was already glutted with the souls of the numberless dead who dared to oppose him. In a relentless quest to arm the forces of the living against the Scourge, High Lord Darion Morgraine has formed the Ashen Verdict, a union between the most skilled craftsmen of the Argent Crusade and the Ebon Blade. Though the peerless paladins of the Crusade wield the power of the light and their leader clutches Ashbringer, a few of Morgraine's dark warriors have begun to question their hopes for victory. Now to the sword. Shadowmourne, a great two-handed axe fit for a giant, born of sacred and corrupt powers, host of 1,000 dead souls, and able to be wielded only by the most stalwart arms masters of Azeroth. Its creation seems nearly impossible, and yet the rumors do not cease. Some smiths claim that Shadowmourne must be nothing more than an ordinary axe, owned to unparalleled perfection, while others would shape it from a weapon of immense import in the world. Darion Morgraine believes that only the hammer of Arthas himself would provide a worthy mortal. But such absurd ambition is just the beginning of Shadowmourne's weapon of immense import in the world. Darion Morgraine believes that only the hammer of Arthas himself would provide a worthy mortal. You're welcome for repeating that, guys. So from this, Shadowmourne is one of the best weapons that we got when we were level 80, along with one-handed legendary that dropped from Ulduar, named Valinir. It is a legendary two-handed axe which is dropped from a quest reward from Shadowmourne. It is available only for warriors, paladins, and death knights. Also, if you didn't know, equipping Shadowmourne awards the Feat of Strength, Shadowmourne. Now let's move on to number 8. Number 8. Bone Dreadnought's battle gear was the armor of High Lord Alexandros Morgraine, founder of the Scarlet Crusade. The first suit of Dreadnought armor was made exclusively for the Scarlet High Lord Morgraine. Whilst donning the full suit, the High Lord looked himself to be a demon from the depths of the Nether. The Dreadnought armor, according to the repeating quest binding the Dreadnought, is primarily dark iron. As Corfax requests endless quantities of dark iron scraps to construct the armor, how he manipulates dark iron without access to the Black Anvil or Black Forge remains a mystery. Now, if you didn't know, Dreadnought's battle gear was a tier 3 set for warriors. In Mist of Pandaria, all items except for the ring can be found at times on the black market auction house, going from nearly 5,000 to almost 30,000 gold is how much you'd have to buy it for. The only exception is the Ring of Dreadnought, which drops directly from Kel'Thuzad and Naxxramas, which we probably can't get anymore, unless you were level 80. Now let's move on to number 8. Psych, number 7. Number 7. For number 7, we have Thoradal the Star's Fury. Thoradal the Star's Fury is the name of a legendary bow that drops from Kil'jaeden, who is the last boss of the Sunwell Plateau 25-man raid instance when you were level 70 in the Burning Crusade. As of Cataclysm expansion, ammo was removed from the game, rendering one of the main benefits of this item useless. However, its stats and high DPS output is still a huge benefit for a hunter. Although Thoradal is obviously added for hunters, it is not limited to them and may be equipped by any class that can train to use bows. As of Wrath of the Lich King, it is the highest level permanent legendary weapon available for hunters. The only other available weapon that is legendary and permanent is Thunderfury, Blessed Blade of the Windseeker. Originally, Thoradal had a 15% attack speed effect, not stacking with ammo quivers or pouches, allowing the hunter to carry a 4th normal bag. This was removed in patch 3.1.0 as ammo bags no longer grant haste. So far, the bow has no confirmed lore behind it. It may be the only permanent legendary weapon available to players to have no story or lore to rationalize or explain its existence. But the great part about this weapon is its iconic, amazing look, and the fact that a lot of people didn't really have it, but it was still a nice weapon to have for hunters. So let's move on to number 6. Number Big 6. Atish, Great Staff of the Guardian, is a staff currently wielded by Khadgar. It was born from the Seed of Hate and grants its wielder power unending. It was passed down by each Guardian of Tirisfal to its successor. Atish can be used to open portals to Karazhan and is also known for attracting ravens towards the wielder. Now let's go into some history. Its date of creation is unknown, but it is known that Atish was forged from the Seed of Hate and was wielded by each Guardian of Tirisfal until the line ended with Medivh. This would set the age of Atish at thousands of years. Following the assassination of Medivh, the staff was brought to Dalaran, where it was held by successive members of the Kirin Tor, who all found their deaths soon. After all these deaths, it was decided that the staff was to be put behind impenetrable barriers of magic, and a watcher was appointed, Angela de Santos. The shattering of the staff came about following the destruction of Dalaran by Archimonde. Atish was shattered into 42 pieces, which were scattered across all of Azeroth. Bran Bronzebeard held the base of Atish, which he somehow lost to Sethan. The Scourge captured the 41 other pieces, 20 of which were initially held by Tarsus. 40 pieces of Atish were each entrusted to a different lieutenant of Kel'Thuzad within Naxxramas. While the fallen mage himself held the staff's head, when Naxxramas appeared over the eastern Plaguelands, the Argent Dawn attempted to prevent this powerful focus of power from falling into the hands of the necromancer lich Kel'Thuzad, and were apparently successful in this regard. Now let's move on to number 5. Number 5. Sulfuras, the Extinguished Hand, is the new name for the weapon that you can now get at level 85 in Firelands. Sulfuras, the Hands of Ragnaros, is the legendary hammer of the Firelord, Ragnaros. Until the release of Blackwing Lair in patch 1.6, it boasted the highest DPS of any melee weapon in the game. Also until Might of Menethil was added to the game with patch 1.1.1. It still maintained the highest raw damage in the game, though the weapon has lost its damage supremacy. It is still widely seen as a status symbol. Equipping the mace awards the feat of strength, Sulfuras, Hand of Ragnaros. Sulfuras is the mighty weapon of Ragnaros the Firelord. The weapon never leaves his grasp. It is composed of flaming red elementium and etched from end to end with intricate runes that seem to move like flowing lava across the weapon's surface. Sulfuras is covered with many vicious spikes of varying sizes, each white hot and surrounded by the distortion of shimmering heat. When a creature is slain by Sulfuras, its body is consumed by intense flame and effectively disintegrated, leaving behind only a pile of ash. The heat and pressure of this effect solidifies the ash into a hard, dark crystal. The crystal is known as an Eye of Sulfuras, and is used by Ragnaros' followers in ancient rituals or to craft special weapons such as Sulfuron hammers. Now let's move on to number 4. Number 4. Doomhammer. It is called the Doomhammer because when its owner takes it into battle, it spells doom for the enemy. Crafted long ago, under unknown circumstances on the orc homeworld of Draenor, the Doomhammer is a namesake relic passed down from father to son. It was given to Thrall as a testament of faith and honor during the salvation of the orcs, although the hilt of the hammer has been replaced. The actual hammerhead itself was endured as a testament of the crafter's skill. Despite its name, Doomhammer is a weapon of good, bringing down doom to enemies and upholding the family's honor. The weapon can be traced to Telkar Doomhammer, father of Orgrim. Young Orgrim came to admire the hammer, knowing one day it would be his own. In a meeting between Orgrim, Durotan, and Prophet Vellum, Orgrim told of a prophecy about the Doomhammer, saying that the last of the Doomhammer line will use it to bring first salvation and then doom to the orc people. Then it will pass into the hands of one who is not of the Black Orc clan. All will change again, and it will once again be used in the cause of justice. In the nature of such prophecies, the orcs did indeed fall, all due to the manipulations of Gul'dan and Kil'jaeden. Orgrim, last of the Doomhammer line, passed the weapon on to his protege Thrall, the one who redeemed the orcish race and completed the prophecy. This great hammer is composed of solid granite on an oak handle. The granite is wrapped twice around with gold-studded leather. Now let's move on to number 3. Number 3. Did someone just say Thunderfury Blessblade of the Windseeker? That's right. It's a legendary sword once wielded by Thunderfury, Prince of Air, whom we kill at level 60. Equipping the sword awards the feat of strength, Thunderfury Blessblade of the Windseeker. Let's go into some history. Ragnaros the Firelord and his lieutenants Gar and Baron Geddon defeated Thunderfury, Prince of Air, during the war following the first date of creation. Ragnaros was unable to fully destroy Thunderfury's essence, so he forced what little remained into a talisman of elemental binding and shattered it. He gave the two halves to his lieutenants. Ages passed, and somehow the talisman halves found their way into the hands of High Lord Demetrian, a follower of Thunderfury. He recombined the talisman, but was unable to release his master. Instead, he did the best he could. He crafted a blade to serve as a vessel for his master's essence. Thunderfury is a vicious sword crafted from elementium and containing a crackling electrical core that might be all that remains of Prince Thunderfury. The hilt is unusually long, wrapped in black dragon hide, and studded with small spikes of black dragon bone. Thunderfury Blessblade of the Windseeker is a constantly used term as a conversation starter in trade chat. It is seen as annoying to most players as the term is more than often spammed. Did you know that Thunderfury Blessblade of the Windseeker is also a weapon in Diablo 3? Yep, it's for level 60s, and it's also a legendary in that game too. Now let's move on to number 2. Number 2. Don't worry, we're almost done. The Warglaive of Azimuth is a legendary one-handed sword that drops from Illidan's Stormrage at the Black Temple in Shadowmourne Valley. Warglaive of Azimuth is part 2 of a piece set called The Twin Blades of Azimuth. The world's first main-hand Warglaive of Azimuth dropped from Fortes Calalia, a rogue. The offhand sword that complements this also drops from Illidan. This sword is also very powerful, even though it may be more older than most weapons. It is one of the most powerful weapons that we got back then in level 70 times. Warglaive of Azimuth, when you get the two weapons, your melee attacks have a chance to increase your haste rating by 450. Back then that was a lot since, well, this weapon is a legendary, so it's really powerful. Now let's move on, finally, to number 1. The moment you've all been waiting for, number 1.
Look now to your defenses, my son, for the champions of justice gather at your gates.
Frostburn hungers.
That's right, baby. Frostmourne. Frostmourne was the runeblade that Ner'zhul, the Lich King, took from the Frozen Throne. Intending that Arthas Menethil, his unwitting potential host, would discover it on the continent of Northrend, it was wielded by Arthas, the new Lich King, until it was destroyed following his defeat in Icecrown Citadel. A gold-plated replica of Frostmourne's hilt is now on display in Dalaran, held in place on the statue of Tyrion Fordring. No true record of the weapon's actual remains has been recorded. When Ner'zhul was transformed into the Lich King by Kil'jaeden, his disembodied spirit was shackled to a magical suit of armor, as well as the runeblade Frostmourne, and trapped within an icy tomb called the Frozen Throne. Both the armor and the blade were crafted by the Nathrezim for the purpose of containing and controlling the Lich King. Well, that's it for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the top 10s that we had to bring you guys at Richie Gaming Lore. Now, I leave you guys with the ending of the Lich King.
Father, is it over?
At long last. No king rules forever, my son.
I see. Only darkness before me.
Without its master's command, the restless scourge will become an even greater threat to this world. Control must be maintained. There must always be a Lich King.
The weight of such a burden. It must be mine, for there is no other.
Tyrion! You hold a grim destiny in your hands, brother. But it is not your own.
Bulva! By all that is holy.
The dragon's flame seal my fate. The world of the living can no longer comfort me. Place the crown upon my head, Tyrion. Forevermore, I will be the jailer of the damned.
No, old friend. I cannot.
Do it, Tyrion! You and these brave heroes have your own destinies to fulfill. This last act of service is mine.
You will not be forgotten, brother.
I must be forgotten, Tyrion. If the world is to live free from the tyranny of fear, they must never know what was done here today. Tell them only that the Lich King is dead, and that Bolvar Dragon died with him. Now, go. Leave this place and never return.